Hello everyone and welcome to another video here on the Cycling Day in Extra channel, and today we are talking about the World Championships that are happening in Zurich, the battle for the rainbow jersey. And here to discuss everything Tadej Pogacar and the World Championships is Patrick Blake of Outdo Cycling and 1/3 of the Echelon Cycling podcast. And yeah, Patrick, Tadej Pogacar, he's had quite a year this year.
He could be the rider of the season already if you just stop the season right now, or even if everybody else continued, you might still consider that Pogacar might be the rider of the season. He has had a ridiculous number of victories. In the one-day races, he's been incredibly strong as well, and he is undoubtedly the favourite going into this race, especially when you consider his recent form over some of the more recent races that he's done. I think that Pogacar is a very, very hard man to look past for this race.
Yeah, I mean, this year, okay, he didn't do Tour of Flanders. He did Giro Tour double, which looked absolutely immense. The first time that's happened in many, many years. And recently winning the GP Quebec as well in some style. Yeah, not going to the Olympics, but he wanted a break apparently. We're not going into the conspiracy of him not going because his girlfriend wasn't selected. But yeah, what else? We saw him very dominant in the beginning of the year as well. I mean, he's just been solid, and it seems like he just reached another level this year as well, and a very, very strong UAE squad. All the investment that they've had over the number of years is really starting to pay dividend. But yeah, I mean, we'll talk about the route, the switchability, his rivals and all that, and mention the team as well. But in terms of the route, Patrick, it's not true that any route fits Tadej Pogacar, but if there is a route, this is probably the route.
It's almost like a cookie cutter of Montreal, which he won the other day. It's like a ridiculously close comparison between the two. It is going to be 275 kilometers, which is very, typical of a long World Champs Day, but that's not something which Pogacar is unused to. Like, he does a lot of these monument style races. He's very good over a long distance, so that's not concerning at all. The main thing is that it's multiple laps around Zurich, with the main show of the day being the Viticon climb, which is 1.9 kilometers at 6.2%, which is very similar to the climb which we saw in Montreal, where Micah lit it up and then Pogacar attacked, although it wasn't all televised or something, so it was quite hard to see actually when Pogacar attacked. But it's very similar to the Montreal race, and considering that he won that very convincingly against some very, very strong competition, it does almost make it a little bit, not a procession that Pogacar is going to win this, but he's had a very decent hit out on a course which is very similar to this, although it was shorter in distance. What do you reckon to the course, Scott? I mean, obviously there's also other small climbs along the way. There's not just this Viticon climb. There's you climb up it, and then there's a plateau, but it's got little lumps on the top of it, and those might serve as other launch pads if he doesn't decide to go on the major climb. But what do you reckon to this? Is it tailor-made for Pogacar?
Maybe not tailor-made, but definitely like as good as it gets for him, I think, right now. And he was hinting about the rainbow jersey as well after he won the Tour de France. Oh, doesn't much of Van der Poel look good in rainbow or something like that? Yeah, but this would in fact be the Triple Crown if he does it. That hasn't been done for quite a while. 1970, 87 with Stephen Roche. I think what he showed at Montreal, like you said, kind of just shows that maybe this is just going to be copy-paste by the time we get to Switzerland.
Especially when you've got, a really dedicated team around him, I presume.
Do you think the teams are going to be a factor here or not? Obviously, they're always a factor, but
yeah, they do play a part for sure, but I don't think they are the be-all, end-all. I think it's very easy to get dragged into the team strength and think about, oh, look at how many people Belgium or France or whoever have who could win the race. But at the end of the day, there are a certain few riders who win the big time events. Pogacar is one of those, and you can talk about secondary favourites all you want, but it's going to be very hard for those guys to win against such Galacticos style riders like a Poggi or a Evenepoel or whoever else is turning up. Obviously, Wout van Aert won't be here, which is a bit of a shame because I do think that this course could be fairly Wout van Aert suited. But yeah, Poggi's team is going to be pretty much all around him. There's also, some other riders in there, which they might decide to try and use as foils up the road. But realistically, they should be all in around Poggy.
For Slovenia, there is actually Roglic on the start line. There's Matej Morahic, Jan Tratnik, Luka Mezgec, Doma Novak, and Matej Grovka. So, I mean, Roglic and Matej Morahic and Jan Tratnik, Doma Novak as well, but like Roglic and Tadej Pogacar in the same world's team on this course is quite phenomenal, really. The guy who just won the World to España.
Yeah, I think that it's also a team which looks fairly well constructed for the course. You can almost see which riders are going to be used at which parts of the race. You could say that Govkar and Mezgec will be used towards the start of the race, I presume, and then you're going to move into the mid kind of part where you might switch towards Novak and Tratnik possibly, and then in the end it's going to be more Mohoric and Roglic protecting Pogacar, or whether they might have Roglic there as a secondary leader. But I think that Roglic is he's more of like a really strong candidate who could also win on his own day, but they might use him to sort of extinguish a fire. Let's say if somebody were to ping it up the road and they needed somebody to chase it back, I reckon that's Roglic's role. That's where I would put him. I think that when you look at the team, it's well constructed. It doesn't have any sort of odd co-leadership. Possibly you might have Roglic as a co-leader, but there's definitely a hierarchy, and I think those teams tend to work a lot better in national level events when you have a designated hierarchy in the team.
You think it's the strongest team when we look at, okay, not every single one of them have been confirmed. We do have the Dutch team confirmed, the Belgian team confirmed, the Australian team confirmed, the United States, some of the big players you would think. Do you think any of these are kind of stronger than Slovenia? Australia looks pretty good, but they haven't really got that person to finish it off. Okay, Michael Matthews did win the Quebec, but it's not really the same course. And yeah, we'll get into the main player for Belgium, but I don't know if Belgium is stronger.
Honestly, I'd say that it's Belgium or the US who are, maybe they lack the real kind of tip of the spear, possibly. You could say, how Slovenia have Pogacar, Belgium have Evenepoel, the US have McNulty or Jorgensen, something like that. But they also got, Kevin Vermarker, Paulus, Magnus Sheffield, McNulty, Jorgensen. I think that's a really strong outfit. But like I said, I think the teams work better when they have a more distinguished hierarchy, and I'm not sure the US really have that. They've just got seemingly 3 people who they might be trying to protect at one time. So for that reason, I'd say that Belgium is the likely candidates to be challenging Slovenia because they've got Evenepoel. Towards the finale, I'd expect maybe Van Hils and Benoot to be for ones protecting him. Maybe Valens might make it, but they've got also they'll use Stuyven and Campenaerts early on, Quentin Hermans and De Plus in the mid area of a race, and then Van Hils and Benoot, especially as Benoot looked really good in the Canadian races, to protect Evenepoel. So again, I think that Belgium is the likely natural competitor to Slovenia, which isn't really a surprise, really, when they've got the 2 big favourites and they're the kind of 2 big teams. So I think it will definitely be a really interesting battle because I think they've got almost riders like for like who cancel each other out, so that'll be really interesting to see.
Well, that neatly transitions us to that part. Who are his rivals? Yeah, Remco Evenepoel, we've mentioned him quite a lot. Good at the Tour de France, obviously, double Olympic champion, never been done before. Remco, does this course fit him? Obviously it's going to be all out Remco. We saw very good tactics by Belgium, but there is no Wout van Aert here to do that. Is there a guy who could do that role to kind of cancel out Tadej Pogacar? Or I feel like Roglic is so much stronger than any of the other guys for Belgium, so I think they're going to struggle in that part.
Yeah, I do agree. I don't think Belgium really have somebody. I know I just said they almost match them man for man, but I don't think they have a man to challenge Roglic. Like, no offense, Van Hils, all of you, but
he really does, Van Hils.
Yeah. I'm just not sure if he's got what Roglic has, so maybe that gives Slovenia a slight edge in the finale. But going back to Evenepoel, does the course suit him? Absolutely. It looks very much like Liège. He's won that in the past, and I'd always say that most courses suit Evenepoel. You could give him a flat race and I'd still consider him to be somewhat of a favourite because he has that time trialling ability just to solo. And I think that most one-day races suit Evenepoel, especially one with some hills in there like this one. So absolutely Evenepoel, but it seems a little bit weird that we haven't mentioned Mathieu van der Poel as a big favourite. There's quite a lot of talk. He's done interviews where he says that he's lost weight in specific preparation for Zurich. He was looking very active in the European Championships, making the race quite hard for Olav Koy, who obviously didn't end up winning, but still, Van der Poel looked quite good. What chance do you give Van der Poel in this race? The climb is 2k at 6%. Do you reckon he can hang with Poggi and Evenepoel?
I mean, I'm a huge Mathieu Van der Poel fan, so can he do it? It is only 6%, and if he has lost weight as well, I'm going to say yes, because that's the fan in me hoping that he can do it.
The one part of me that is slightly concerned for Van der Poel is the repeated nature of the climbs. I think if there was just, say, 2 or 3, I'd definitely give him a big chance, but I think that when you've got more of them and it's more attritional, I do fear him hanging on ever so slightly. Round after round, he's probably going to lose domestiques faster because, no offence to the Netherlands, I don't think their team is as strong as Slovenia or Belgium is. So I think that Van der Poel will get more quickly isolated than the other two. So that's the one thing working against him, I think. But you're right, if he has lost weight and if he is definitely targeting to try and defend his rainbow bands, then Van der Poel's a guy who really turns it on the big stage races. So yeah, he certainly can't be counted out.
Who else are you kind of thinking?
Honestly, Switzerland, they could. Hirschi. The man who's won, 5 races in a row now?
Yeah.
I know some of them have been Italian, the 1.1 or 1.pros, but hear me out. It's Hirschi I would consider as a top 5 favourite for this race for sure.
Imagine that's the final thing he does. Well, in the final part of his UAE stint, he steals the rainbow jersey away from the man of their team. That would be quite funny. I'm taking this to the pro continental level with Tudor Pro Cycling.
Imagine.
That is a way to get invites to all the UCI races or the ASO races for Tudor.
If Hirschi were to win World Championships, they will be the first people invited to the tour, no doubt. But he's also got a strong team. Kung, obviously, he won the last stage of the Vuelta. He looked really strong there. Somebody else who looked really strong was Mauro Schmid. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Mauro Schmid, and he was fantastic during the Vuelta. He got multiple top 10s, but also got Yannis Voizard, Johan Jacobs, Sylvain Dillier in there too. So those guys will be, I'd say, Jacobs and Dillier towards the start, and then into the mid-race, you'll have Kung and Voizard, and then I'd honestly say Schmid will be one of the last men with Hirschi towards the finale. And I think you can't deny the fact that Hirschi is looking in fantastic form at the moment. There is no getting around that. So that's why I think that Hirschi is absolutely a top 5 candidate for this race. It is looking like the 2020 Hirschi that we all remember and that we all loved. And it honestly looks like he's back.
Anyways, ending with that, we might as well do a prediction. Where do you think Tadej Pogacar, it's not a Hirschi video, but Tadej Pogacar, where's he going to finish in this year's World Championships? I mean, Tadej Pogacar is number 1 in the world. We've looked at his record as well. It's not Remco Evenepoel-esque, if you will. His best result was 3rd last year, and that was a very hard course, as we know, in Glasgow, beating out Mess Pilsen there. But other than that, he's failed to finish inside the top 10, but of course he's having an absolutely next level season. So with that, Patrick, where do you think he's going to finish? Are we going to have our first Slovenian in the rainbow jersey? Is that true? First Slovenian?
Well, I think it will be. I think he's winning. The only thing for me that would stop that would be if Van der Poel can survive the climbs with him, and then it's a sprint between them. I think that Van der Poel would probably beat him in a sprint. I do think that Poggi, if he were to go to the line with Evenepoel, I think that Poggi would beat Remco in a head-to-head sprint. So that's why I'm feeling quite boisterous towards Poggi winning. What about you? What do you reckon?
I kind of like the idea of the Triple Crown being taken, because he took the Giro Tour for the first time since Battani did it, and now he's going to do it potentially since Steven Roche do it. And you're thinking, if you want these kind of achievements done, what kind of rider do you want to break it? And it is a rider like Tadej Pogacar who has no fear. He goes to Tour of Flanders, he goes all these places, he appreciates the history, he appreciates where he is in the sport. So I think, the guy who also has his own cycling team for juniors, does charity work, all this kind of thing. So I think there's no better ambassador, and why not? But I do want Match Van Poel to win, but we've already had him in the rainbow, and we're going into the cyclocross season, so we're going to see him in the rainbow jersey still. So
that's very true. Where do you reckon Hirschi will finish?
Oh,
as the home.
Yeah. I think he's going to finish third.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, you're going to say the same. Who's second then? Remco?
Yeah, Poggy, Remco, and
Obviously, we're going to do a preview show as well. This is just...
Oh, yeah. This is just like a teaser, people. Don't you worry about it.
We could change everything.
Yeah.
But anyways, with that, that's basically it for this video. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel here on Cycling Dane Extra, and make sure to check out Patrick's own channel, How Do Cycling. I'm pretty sure he's going to do a preview of this as well for the Velo Games. But with that, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you around.